So we just wanted to do a very high level overview of who we are here at ACHD, who we serve, what we do. And like I said, this is very high level. So if there's any questions, please let us know. But first of all, we wanted to start with just a little recap of the last year and show you all of the great work that all of the employees here have been doing. So this is your 2025 recap.
2025 is in the rear view, and what a year it was. In fiscal year 2025, ACHD worked hard to build community, improve efficiencies, enhance safety, and connect you to more. ACHD advanced critical transportation projects that will serve Ada County for years to come. 13 project designs were completed, setting the stage for future construction and long-term improvements. Notable construction projects included Eagle and State Street, State and Pierce Park, Eagle Lake Hazel to Amity, U-Stick Black Cat to 10 Mile, the award-winning Eckert Bridge repair, Phase 1 of Linder and Overland, multiple pavement preservation projects, pedestrian safety improvements including RRFBs and PHBs, and 18 drainage projects. Together, these investments added connectivity, resilience, and safety across the network. Keeping our road system running smoothly remained a top priority. Operation crews chip-sealed over 300 lane miles, helping raise ACHD's pavement condition index to 78, outperforming many agencies across the Northwest. Crews filled a record-breaking over 13,000 potholes, painted or refreshed more than 2,600 miles of roadway striping, and installed over 7,000 new signs to support clear and confident travel. Through coordinated maintenance, efficient fleet management, and integrated deployment, ACHD's operations saved taxpayers up to $25 million annually. To support this work, ACHD added 15 new vehicles to the fleet, helping crews cover more ground and get more done every day. ACHD completed construction of a state-of-the-art traffic operations center, supporting real-time monitoring and smarter roadway management. Safety improvements continued countywide. We deployed 135 new traffic signal controllers, installed 5 new leading pedestrian intervals, bringing the countywide total to 66, and completed traffic calming on 11 neighborhood streets. Our safety engineering team delivered 32 rapid improvement projects, improving intersections, school routes, and community roadways. Decisions were guided by data collected from more than 1,000 traffic count and study locations. Growth in Ada County continued at a strong pace. ACHD processed 648 development applications, with an average review time of just 23 days. Nearly 1,000 construction plans were reviewed, 586 were approved, and almost 4,000 permits were issued to support construction and special events. We also collected nearly $33 million in impact fees, helping growth pay for growth. ACHD once again passed all financial audits. This year also included the transition into our renovated Meeker headquarters, supporting day-to-day operations across ACHD. ACHD strengthened operations through transparency and accountability, responding to 427 public record requests. Subject matter experts engaged with local media 62 times, contributing to more than 200 stories that kept the public informed. We also launched ACHD Connect, a new customer service portal that makes it easier for residents to get updates, report issues, and receive answers. ACHD helped remove over 3 million miles and more than 1 million vehicle trips from Ada County roads through van pooling and smart commuting. We are proud to earn designation as a Gold Bicycle-Friendly Community, recognizing major progress in making Ada County a better place to bike. ACHD also continued outreach through safety campaigns focused on visibility, distracted driving, and stopping on red, reinforcing shared responsibility on our roadways. Together, these efforts reflect ACHD's commitment to delivering results today while preparing Ada County for the future.
So with that, as you can see, we've been very busy here at ACHD. Serving all of our shared residents and customers. So just to take a little trip back in time as to why we exist, In 1971, we were established by election after the legislature approved law allowing special governance entities to be approved by the voters. So I was not around at the time, but from what I hear, this was due to discrepancies amongst different cities, road maintenance, and all those 13,000 potholes that you hear, that was the big one, that there were potholes that were not being taken care of and the roads were in disrepair. So that is why we exist today. Today we have over 470 full-time team members. We've grown to meet the growing needs of Ada County and all that we serve. We are responsible for all local roads, bridges, streets, and alleyways in Ada County to serve all 6 cities as well as unincorporated Ada County, excluding any private roads or state highways. So we manage and maintain, and if I could just have this be a live ticker, I feel like it's just constantly moving. But we manage and maintain today over 5,500 lane miles. And just to put that into perspective, you could go to Disney World in Florida and back on the amount of lane miles that we manage here. And we're responsible for over $4 billion in public assets, and that includes everything from our infrastructure to our facilities and our fleet. We also manage and maintain over 465 signalized intersections with over 4,000 traffic signal poles and 220 plus cameras. So if you have not had the opportunity yet, we would love to have you join us for a tour at our Traffic Operations Center, where you can see a lot of that in action, where we are managing that in real time. We are also responsible for over 3,000 linear miles of sidewalk. And we serve, I think it's probably closer to 550,000 customers. And that number also could be on a ticker that just keeps climbing as well. And we are governed by those that are sitting with you today, are 5 elected officials that make up our Board of Commissioners. And these are the districts that they serve, each in their own areas. And then this is our executive team. All of our executive team members are here with you today. If you do have any questions, we are all happy to answer during the meeting, or if you have any questions after, we're all happy to stay around and answer any questions that you might have to our specific areas. And with that, I will stand for any questions. Oh, actually, I think that I have more. The important stuff. So the operating budget that we have is $257 million for this fiscal year, starting in October. So our 48% of our total budget is for capital projects, our largest sum, and then operations and projects and development services follow behind that. So taking a closer look at the capital budget by program, you can see that our capital investment program accounts for the large majority there with 60%. And our capital maintenance program beyond that. So just a few tools that I don't know you might already be aware of, but if you're not, they're great tools for you to be aware of and to be able to share with your constituents as well. Our RETA map stands for roadwork in the area. So any current or pending closures can be found on this map. If you click around on it, you can actually also see what those closures are for, whether it's a special event, if it's utility work, or if it's an ACHD project. All those closures are listed on there with the estimated timelines for them, also who the contractor is and who the ACHD inspector is. So that's a really great way that you can stay informed. We also send weekly reports of this map to different officials at your city. Mayor, I think you're on that. So always happy to add people to that as well, but that helps keep everybody informed so they can plan ahead and know what's going on if a road is closed or signs go up that a road is closing. Current projects can all be found on achdIdaho.org/projects. Each project has its own page that explains what the project is, gives all the historical information for that project, and then also has opportunities for people to subscribe for updates to each individual project. You can also subscribe for updates based on city. So if you wanted to subscribe for every update that we do for the city of Eagle, we could get you on that list as well. Our 2027 to 2031 5-year plan is out for discussion right now. You're going to hear more about that today, but you can also access that online. And then we just adopted in December our 2025 to 2045 capital improvement plan as well. And then you do have a resource sheet in front of you with just a bunch of these links. And then we also provided you with a few of our cards that are just our general ACHD Connect website. So if you have constituents that have questions that are related to ACHD, you're welcome to hand them one of those cards. It's a really great system that we're using. They can go and ask questions and we get them to the subject matter experts. We typically can respond to resolve those within a matter of a couple of business days. So we're really quick about making sure that we are reaching out to those customers. We invite you to connect with us. Always reach out, ask any questions that you might have, follow us on social media, check out our website. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Yes, thank you. What percent of your operating budget comes from Eagle, and what percent of your 5,500 miles of roads is in Eagle?
Madam President, Mr. Mayor, I'm trying to think who is in here that would be able to answer that question for you. Councilmember Kwame, let's see. I don't know that I have the exact numbers on me, but we can certainly get you the numbers that you're looking for.
Thank you.
I don't have any of my budget experts in here right now, but I'm absolutely happy to shoot you an email with that information. Any other questions for me?
Yeah. Is there any questions from city council or our staff at this time? Okay, Shandy, I want to tell you though, from the city, great job on the informational thing. I mean, it's informative. That helps get the public. It's always like leading a horse to water though. We get all these great tools out for the public, but we got to keep informing them how to get there, how to drink the water basically and stuff. So, I do need to have another, just so you guys know, I would like to do another Mayor Minute with you guys again. And I'd like to review the podcast that we did with you guys and then update that to what has been completed. Because I mean, it's been a fluid year, like you said, but the projects, especially for Eagle, that we could do something, won't be as elaborate probably as what we did, but I'll have Laura, our PIO, get with you guys and make sure that we do that. But I'd like to update, keep the public informed. It's such a fluid operation right now with all the things going on, but I appreciate the fact you guys are always open to come out and participate. That part's fun. I mean, but getting the people to understand it, Brandon and I meet monthly. So, and we kind of update what's going on and everything, but for the most part, if we can keep your information and we can be a conduit to help the public know what's going on, and our responsibility is Eagle. So I think we want to do that. So yeah, let's continue to work on that because they're actually looking for updates and we're going to give them as much information as we can. So we appreciate that though.
Yeah. Madam President, Mr. Mayor, we appreciate that. We're always happy to help. Just let us know and we will be there.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Shandy. Appreciate it. All right, next.
One more comment.
Mhm.
I was very impressed with your presentation in terms of the amount of work that you're doing and the innovative things you're doing, like your overall traffic control center and the upkeep and the improvements in your equipment. Very impressive. Thank you.
Madam President and Councilmember Kwame, have you had the opportunity to see the Traffic Operations Center in person?
No.
We would love to invite you out to take a look. It's very impressive what they can do there in real time, adjusting things for every crash, every event, every project to keep traffic flowing. So we would love to have you whenever you're available.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that'd be great if we could coordinate with the city and set a tour for them up over there and encourage all of you to go see it because it is great.
May I ask a question?
No, we're gonna focus on we're gonna go to the next step on the agenda. We don't have public comment right now. Appreciate it though. Okay, so next up on the agenda, number 2, we've got 5-year plan and says Justin, but it looks like Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, President Gold, Mayor Pike, members of the commission and council. For the record, my name is Tom Laws and I'm the planning manager with Davis County Highway District. And today I was asked to come and just speak a little bit about our 5-year plan and specifically projects that are happening in the area. High level, I want to go first over our programming framework, our strategy behind the 5-year plan. I'll speak to our plan schedule, the outreach that's occurring right now, a specific update to the projects in your city, and then upcoming key dates. I like to start off with this slide though, because this really sets the foundation for our 5-year plan. And here, this is just an example of all the different planning documents that go into it. And really where we begin is with the city's comprehensive plans. You help establish what that vision is, what the growth is going to look like for your community. And from there, we're able to take that and incorporate it with Compass, with their communities in motion, and overall their goal and vision for both jobs and population over the next 40 years, 50 years, in this case out to 2050, to help predict where that growth is going to occur. We then take that, tie it to our strategic plan, which helps really lay out where the resources, where our funding allocations are going to occur. And then tie that to all our different smaller plans, from the City of Eagle Neighborhood Plan to our CIP Capital Improvement Plan, which Shandy mentioned was just adopted at the end of last year, and a variety of other plans. We take all that information, plus the public comment period, plus the agency work, and that ultimately gives us with our 5-year plan. This is just a high-level summary of what our calendar looks like with the 5-year plan. It's really broken up into 4 different stages. That first stage, which is ongoing right now, is the kickoff that begins in January, and it's really focused on partner outreach, public outreach, trying to really just kick off that the new effort, revisit all the projects that were identified in the previous plan, and update priority lists from our other cities to look at what are those projects next in the pipeline. From there, over the March-April timeframe, we're really looking at the initial programming of that plan. So we're taking all that information we received from the public, from your priority lists, and we're drafting a draft 5-year plan. That will go out during the summertime between May and July, really starting to take in that initial feedback. And then ultimately, it concludes with adoption of both our budget, which is the first 2 years of our 5-year plan, in August, and then the formal adoption of the full 5-year plan in September. With that, we do have our partner agency project request date in or around March 18th. It's really the next milestone or deadline for you. We're always willing to coordinate and work around that as well. So as I mentioned, we're in the middle of a public outreach right now. This has been going on since January 22nd, and it actually ends on Wednesday, February 19th. This includes the interactive map that Shandy alluded to, where members of the public are able to click on any one of these projects, get more information about the budget, the project description, the planned construction years, and then provide comments as well, whether those should be expedited, are they more important, or if there are new projects that aren't identified, this is the opportunity to comment on those as well. Just looking at as of last week, things are going really well. We have almost 400 total map comments, 67 new project requests, and a variety of views, Facebook links, outreach, media coverage, and so forth. When focused specifically on the City of Eagle's top priorities, and this was a strategy that we've taken on over the last couple of years, is to help prioritize and ensure that the top 3 projects that you're providing us are able to move quickly throughout our plan and eventually to construction. When looking at what we call our roadways and intersection projects, these were the top 3 that were the key priorities for the City of Eagle in 2025. The first, Linder Road, State Highway 44 to Floating Feather. As you know, it's currently under construction. We are in that phase focused on utility work and grading right now. Everything's on time and on schedule. Linder Road, Chinden Boulevard to State Highway 44 is the next major project that we actually just had in front of the commission last month, and we're kicking off design now. And the design is anticipated to take over the next 2 years. So the goal would be to wrap that up in 2027. And then just due to the size of this project, the likelihood is that we'll divide it up into phases. And so I have asterisks here over the right-of-way and construction, because the goal would be with that first phase that'll be identified during the design, we'll be able to move directly into right-of-way acquisition over 2028, 2029. And then once that's complete, into construction in 2030. And the goal will be those additional phases to be rolling right after that. And then finally, for our roadways and intersections, Eagle top priorities. The third is the Palmer Road and State Highway 44 intersection. A couple of key notes about this. This is actually one of the highest, most commented projects that we've heard so far from that initial outreach over the last 2 weeks. Your citizens, ours, are really interested in having this project complete. And it's a really great example of collaboration. Our work with you, with ITD, with the city of Star, is seeing design wrapping up in the next few months. And the goal is actually to start construction in October at this intersection. So a really good project that really wasn't anywhere a few years ago. And now we're going to see it constructed this fall. For our safety and compliance category, the 3 top priorities for City of Eagle include the Horseshoe Bend Road and Floating Feather Road intersection. This is really more focused on the safety of pedestrians crossing over to the Eagle Bike Park, but it's one that we were able to get into what we call scoping right now. So we're actively looking at both alternatives that improve strictly the crossing, also looking at the ultimate build out of a potential roundabout at this intersection. When that scoping is complete, we'll be ready to roll directly into design in next year, 2027. And then the goal, as of what's in the plan now, of a construction in 2028. The second priority for the City of Eagle was First Street, Aikens to Idaho. And this was one that was brought up originally last year with the goal to apply for Compass Communities in Motion implementation funding. The goal from ACHD is to continue to support that, but we want a backup plan as well. So if funding is not ultimately selected through that process, we have designs slated to start in 2029, right of way in 2030. Last year's plan, 5 years, ended at 2030, and so we'd assume that construction would likely be popping up with this new plan. And then finally, the third top priority for the city as of last year was Horseshoe Bend Road, State Street to Hill. This is a multi-use path on the east side with design and right-of-way complete, and now we have planned for construction in 2028. Just to highlight a couple other active projects that are currently happening throughout the city. High priority was the intersection of Palmer and Nordic. And this is one that we were also able to include right away within our scoping process. So here's just a quick sketch of what a potential enhanced crossing could look like that actually came across our desk just last week. So continuing to flesh out the opportunity for a quick build project there. And then downtown Eagle mobility improvements, the intersection of Eagle and State. I just wanted to highlight here that this is an intersection that we're continuing to monitor, and there's several improvements that we're looking at to help highlight how those movements should be occurring, trying to discourage that left turn that we're seeing onto southbound Eagle Road. That includes a blank out sign that flashes and highlights when that move is not allowed, similar to what you see at State and BMP today. Changing out the solid lights at the intersection itself into straight arrows instead. Installing thermoplastic paint that really highlights the through arrow to keep that movement on that left lane rather than the left turn. And then right now we have signage that in text says right lane must be turned right. We're planning on changing that to diagrammatic, which is more of the picture of showing that movement not allowed. Continuing to monitor and hopefully these make it a little more intuitive of how to navigate through that area. And then finally, another active project is part of our roadway and ADA improvements. This is Edgewood Lane, Harvey Street to Floating Feather. There's actually a pre-construction meeting scheduled for this Friday with the goal to kick off as early as March. And we intend for this project to be wrapped up in June. And this is a pavement project where we'll be replacing the asphalt and then providing several ADA improvements at driveways and intersections along that corridor as well. Just to highlight key dates and kind of our next steps. So we have been over the last 2 months meeting with all of our partner agencies on one-on-ones. We actually on Friday met with Andrew and Bill to kind of talk through the new set of goals with the City of Eagle. We anticipate a few new projects on the list, knowing that we have quite a few that will be following off with construction this year. That partner agency request date is in or around March 18th. Talking with your staff, we're looking at potentially the week right after that for them to come to your city council to discuss that prioritization. We'll have the draft go out in July, and then those key adoption hearings, as I mentioned, with our budget at late August, and then the 5-year plan in late September. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Are there any questions? Your President, go.
Madam and Mayor, I just want to thank you for putting Nordic and Palmer on the top. I've been getting numerous calls, messages, videos sent to me of school buses stopping there, kids getting out, cars swerving, and it's a concern, a huge concern. So it being prioritized for sure to avoid possibly something bad. It's a great thing, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner McKinney.
Thank you. Tom, just a quick question on that Palmer, Highway 44 and Palmer Lane intersection. Given that 44 is and I know we addressed this just last week, I think, when we were talking with the ITV people. But my question is, given that it's a state facility, what's the relative portion of what's being done here, both in terms of the design and what installation work, as well as the cost sharing between ACHD and ITD on that particular intersection?
Sure. Don't have the exact numbers right now, but that is actually something that we're working on an interagency agreement with the state as we speak. And I anticipate that that would come to the commission at later date when it's finalized.
Okay, so we don't know yet. What's the time frame on that? What are we looking at?
I would assume in the next month or two, but I don't know that off top.
Okay, all right.
But it'll come back to you during a consent agenda item.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Tom? Yeah, Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, a question, you talked about, Hill Road and, Horseshoe Bend, Floating Bend, Horseshoe Bend area on that. So, and you have some great ideas on how you were gonna fix things with roundabouts and such, but what happens when you have a major, applicant that comes in with other ideas and changes, and you've got them already in your plan on this? How does that work?
That's exactly what we're kind of talking about, council member, during the scoping effort that we have our project teams that come together, and this is a case where we originally were looking at more of a quick build solution where we could get some striping in there, really help better define that pedestrian crossing. And that's where we paused and we said, let's actually look at the ultimate build in this situation, knowing that there's so much more potential development, so much more traffic that could be seen at this intersection. And so the goal will be over the next 3 months or so to have both of those alternatives, and then working through our project team determine which is going to be the best one to move forward with, potentially being that ultimate build roundabout.
One more question. And another question is, one of the questions that we receive a lot of, it still is, what about the Three City River crossing, which I'm sure you guys have heard for years, right? On this whole thing, and how does that play into anything, or does it? ACHD was a major carrier of that, and with the studies and things that were to be done, is it just a way, or how's that get back onto the plate?
I would say, President Gold, Mayor Pike, council member, that's something that ACHD is continuing to monitor, and through both Compass and through the efforts, but ultimately, that is a project that we would assume being led by ITD, and so letting them be the lead of that, and however we can help support it when that occurs, we'll be here ready to be a partner.
Okay, I know that the ACHD did the environmental studies on that, so those things that get shelved, did they ever get pulled back out and looked at? Or are they just not there anymore? Start over.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nelson.
Yeah, Councilmember Merrill, I think it's easily accessible to look at ITD gave a presentation on all of their kind of long-range planning efforts. I'm not sure, I was remote last week, but they gave it to the Compass Board, maybe December, a year ago, December. So, and they're subject to the whims of the funding they're able to get, but the District 3 engineer, Jason Brinkman, he has a pretty thoughtful review that in the south, the whole region. And so it'll be like pushing a string.
Yep.
And I just don't recall if 3 cities was on there. I think there was a river crossing, but I don't think it, you remember?
It wasn't.
It wasn't? Okay, maybe because of the Highway 16 investment, but that was a good picture of what they're working on.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you have any comments or other questions?
I don't have any questions. The comments, I'm glad Tom, you're alluding to you're kind of helping answer some of the questions I think that's been on everybody's minds as far as the timing element with all these projects. I do think, from what I've understood, ITD taking the major platform on the 55 Three Cities Crossing. I'd like to get kind of a response back from both entities because you guys will be a part of it. But we need to ask Compass. I mean, the strategy would probably be Compass, you guys, and ITD as well to see where you're at and where is it on your list? Because there are people that are going to be coming up to us asking for new projects to be put on there. And if we get things that have been on the list, requirements and requests for a long time, and they keep getting pushed aside, we need to make I would like to see a determination of process in the future. These are one of the things, either we're going to go all of us collaborating together and move forward, or we're not. So, I mean, we kind of see, well, it's ITDs. Well, let's see what the cities say about it. Well, we have the ownership of the, lot still. I mean, there's a lot of things. I'd like to get more of a consensus as to where we're at today from every agency and entity. Then we can have something that we can actually tangibly go back with the citizens and say, we are working on it, but we know these are the answers. Well, we kind of help each other with the answers instead of just going, I don't know, it's go ask ITD. I don't like that response. I'd rather say we're working collaboratively with each of these agencies. We want to make sure that we have the accurate and up-to-date answers at this point, but not overstating something for a different agency. If that makes any sense at all, that'd be something I'd like to see.
Commissioner Goldberg?
Yeah, one of the things that I remember pretty well from our last conversations about this was the cost, which was $100 to $150 million in those dollars. And since it's not even on the scope for right now, it could be $250 million before that gets around to it. And you saw what our budget is. And capital projects was a good chunk of it, but it would take years and years of our entire capital budget to build that. And so that's where it's a real conundrum.
And I would say this is not your budget's responsibility either, because of the ownership, right, of the Highway 55 it's really ITD's ownership, but how we collaborate together and bring that past information. We've had a lot of people that have used a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears, if you will, to help design, engineer, and look at these things. So we know the more to be delay on a project, the cost is going to escalate rapidly, probably, and every budget's probably going to deteriorate a little bit for a while. So we need to be cognizant of that. But I just want to answer that we can all go, we're answering the same thing. We're not talking different vocabularies with different people. So that's kind of my hope with that part of it. So
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor. I think, recognizing that this is an ITD led project and that, of course, that'll have impacts to the local system. Sounds like needing to start over with things like environmental review and things like that. And as Commissioner Nelson mentioned, we just had an ITD presentation recently that talked about budget impacts and projects that they have on the horizon. So there are obviously a lot of moving parts with this, but we understand the city's position on it. And, as these things kind of get fleshed out over time, can stand ready to support the city.
yeah, because we did put $100,000 at one time in the budget for engineering and stuff, and then it got taken out, they got put back in. So we're kind of ebb and flowing, and we need to be more understanding in our budget when it's coming up here that we know what the needs are. So the more that we can collaborate with that, I think the stronger the answer will be for everybody.
Councilor Chamberlain?
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things that is one of those long range plans that have to be out there. But I think that the important thing is we somebody, you know, maybe it's the city of Eagle takes the lead in gathering together the decision makers and putting together on what the goal is out here with that, and realizing that legislature, Garvey bonds, other outside federal funding that would come into something like this is part of this huge big picture, but we don't even have the window open yet to be able to look at that. So I think Mayor trying to grab together the parties, ITD, Compass, ACHD, legislators, you know, all of the team together, and engineers. The important people in the room are our engineers who see these things every day. But we need to, if we are gonna do it, we need to move forward and do something as far as gathering together information.
Yeah,
Commissioner Nelson.
yeah, Councilmember, several of us are Compass. So I think it's important, it would be through there, we work together on making sure it's in the regional transportation plan, because it needs to be there to be eligible for
Right.
federal dollars, as you
Right.
know. But the one thing I've asked, with the ITD and ACHD staff is, you know, we have a major event happening next year, the opening of the new state highway. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
And so I think analysis of how the trips sort themselves out will be really informative to a review of Three
Exactly.
City River Crossing. So
Good idea.
I kind of wagged my planner finger at ITD and said, if you don't plan to do it, you're gonna get too busy. You're not gonna look at that. So
Thank you.
so that's something, if Eagle's interested, as we find that out. I remember when I moved here, it was just before the Eagle bypass. So 48 hours, all the businesses are gonna start complaining, and it's just this commotion, then everybody settles down. So I think with Highway 16, I expect it's a big change, and how people deal with it will be fascinating. So
It's great. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. We appreciate it.
All right, any other questions or comments on this item? All right, thanks very much, Tom. Next up, we've got collaborative projects discussion. Mayor, are you leading this one, or do you have a staff member?
I could always allude to staff. I could dump into staff all the time, but yeah. I think, Tommy did a good job. All of you did a really good job of updating the Linder, because the constituents that live in that area really want to have that update. I drove it the other day with one of my sons, and he said, "Dad, I'm glad I'm not driving," because there's certain couple of areas in there that are a little risky. So I know we're doing the best we can on that, but yeah, I would just encourage people to take the alternate routes. And then one of the questions that did come up, and I think I asked somebody on with you guys in terms of the speed mitigation bumps and the stop signs. If you're gonna put them in, you get a good pattern and understanding of what's going on. But I think there's a consensus to keep those in and not tear them out after Linder construction's done. I don't know if I have had a solid, I don't even know if I've asked for an answer yet, but yeah, Justin, maybe you can kind of let us know what's going on. Because I know in the past, there's been some complaints and discussions on speed bumps as a whole, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, President Gold. So our current, this is something new. We've been starting these measures in the adjacent neighborhoods related to speed mitigation during construction. We've implemented them on this project in Linder. We implemented some on a project down in South County, Maple Grove, and Lake Hazel. We've also implemented them on a project to closure the Ustick Road closure in Meridian, which is right next to my house, and I drive by these speed bumps every day. Our current practice is we're kind of testing it. So we're hearing both sides of this question. Some neighborhoods seem to maybe want the speed bumps to stay. Some neighborhoods, I think, are anticipating those speed bumps to be removed when construction is completed. So our current practice is going to be, when it comes to the temporary stop signs, all of that has to come out, because the stop signs are only intended for use during construction. So all the top stop signs will come out. The speed bumps could remain. And what we're doing right now is we plan to do kind of like a neighborhood survey outreach to see what the neighborhood thinks. If the results of that are, let's say, ambiguous, we'll have to think about how to approach that. we have essentially sold these devices as temporary. When they go in, we're saying they're temporary. So I think it's pretty fair for some of the residents who may not like them to expect them to come out when it's done. And that's why that outreach portion, I think, is going to be so critical.
And I think, I really appreciate that because that's the part, you're gonna have the pros and cons of that. Are you looking at maybe some of the collectors to maintain some of that and not necessarily some of the streets that connect with it? Because especially in that area that we have off of Linder there, I do get feedback that people appreciate the fact that they've slowed the traffic down for the safety, aspect of it. But we've also seen people just blow off the stop signs. Just, this is my neighborhood and I don't want a stop sign, so I just keep going. And that really throws everybody in a different array. But the safety aspect, you're always gonna have, that's gotta be the cornerstone. I always preach that anyhow. But in the likelihood of it, some type of what's the word I'm looking for, but to give in on both, to accommodate both sides, is that one of the designs, or is it kind of like all or nothing, or is it kind of like, well, we're going to keep the collectors kind of like, where they can have at least a speed calming effect?
I think it's a good question. I think if the city has specific feedback on certain streets where you think it could be more important than others, we'd love to hear that, because when we go out for the neighborhood outreach, as the project is nearing completion, I think we could ask that question. Once again, this is new and we'll have to see that outreach process. We'll see how those go. I think ACHD's general position is, we have said they're temporary during construction. So that's the kind of the starting point. We're giving an opportunity that some of it might stay. If the neighborhood is, let's say, split down the middle, we'll probably have to seek some guidance from some of the commission on a few of these. My instinct is probably just pull it all out, because if it's not wanted by a kind of a large majority, then we're just creating neighborhood contention, and we don't want to do that. So that's been our historic kind of approach to this type of speed mitigation facility. So I think what we would be looking for in that public outreach is really strong support for those devices to stay. And if there's not really strong support, we would likely remove them.
Okay, and the stop signs, that's interesting. That's a good start to understand what's absolute and what's
Yep.
not.
Stop
But
signs coming out for sure.
I think the anomaly was when we had that neighborhood meeting for Linder Road, I think everybody was caught off guard at the number of people that actually showed up to that, because usually get 50, 75, but I think there was 350 or maybe 400 in attendance. And you are going to get both sides of the thing, but I think if you can continue to focus on, we're enhancing this for the safety aspect and the speed calming, but we're not going to be intrusive as to, you're not going to go every 50 feet and stop and go over a bump. So I think there's a way we can communicate that well, and I will be very receptive to helping you with the success of that if needed. We have those conversations, but again, that'll be another thing where we bring up a need to get as much information out via our social media as possible, and maybe, we can have an HOA meeting, or we can go to the HOA meetings and talk with the boards and stuff. But yeah, what I don't personally like to see is all that hard work and effort put into something, and then they get the people used to this pattern, and then it changes again. So they got this, do I go or I don't go? We're having the same thing with the intersection of Eagle and State, for example. It's a new anomaly for them, so they don't know really what to do. So we've got to train their minds a little bit to how this is going to go. So I applaud you that you're at least looking at it for these temporary solutions. I think it's a good step forward of trying to say, hey, we see a problem, we're trying to mitigate it. But at the same time, we can't just sit back and go, let's see what ACHD does and just watch. I think we will have more of an interest, and you could bring it to the council meeting, then get that out there on our social media as well as our videography and stuff. And that's part of that partnership. We need to make sure that we're saying the same thing consistently. So I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, and I think we can commit to that as we get closer to the decision point on those elements for sure.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Some of the history behind what we're talking about right now, what you'd like to see, started in my district. And we were just inundated with folks that were
I mean, they were upset because of all the cut through traffic that caused those speed bumps, stop signs to have to go in. And stop signs had to come out. But the neighbors wanted the rest of it to stay, a lot of it, and it has. And that was where we cut our teeth on this. And I discovered that the more we heard from either the significant number of the neighbors or the, in your case, your city council, that will go a long way for the eventual decision if it has to be made by the commission. And which kind of lets you lay it off on us too, but we're really, really concerned about safety. Not nearly concerned about people not getting up in the morning on time and having to fly at 40 miles an hour on a local road to get to work.
Yeah, the hard part is having people that have to respond to those incidents that it could have been prevented. Education, you're not gonna get 100 people to participate the way we hope they do. But at least we're attempting to find some solutions to accommodate that. So I'm interested in seeing how this program unfolds, because problem is if it's successful, it's gonna become a model that every neighborhood's gonna want. And then it gets into the cost and the staffing and the timing of all of that, right?
But it involves safety,
Yeah.
and we're all about that.
Yeah, I know you, well, so me too, right? We will have that, but that's one of the factors I think they're gonna say, what have we created here? You know, so we gotta be, I guess, strategic in the roads that we do continue to keep and the ones we don't. So I'd be interested in seeing how that outcome is as well. Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing would be, I want to keep it as a high level here, but you know, we have Old Park Place in our downtown still as one of those roads. We'll be speaking with, we've already had purchase acquisition of part of the land acquisition on part of it, but we're speaking with the other owner actually today again to see what we could do there. But we see an opportunity there to have some less stacking, less confusion on the intersection there. And if we can keep that conversation consistent with each other, we very much have an understanding. We'd like to see that continue. And I don't know if you received my letter yet or not, but yeah, Miranda probably did. So yeah, if we can keep that discussion going at that high level, sometime we'll have to descend and get into the nitty gritty, but I'd like to see that maintained for the downtown for us, and that traffic pattern opportunity that we think there's a solution to that, as well as First Street. So thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, are there any questions from the commission or council members or additional comments? Commissioner McKinney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a quick question. This is sort of a general one, but could you give us kind of a follow-up and maybe an update on how the downtown improvements are going in Eagle and what you see as far as businesses moving into the new space that's there on State Street and other aspects associated with that?
Well, I appreciate the question, because I think there's nobody probably happier with seeing it over as us than the council, because it was such a difficult time, let's say, because the anticipation of the traffic, citizens traffic, and then the business owners, and the understanding of delays or timing coming up. But I think the fluidity of the traffic is very effective with Aikens and in Second Street now, the signal at Second in State. We do still have an issue, and I'm glad that you guys brought that up as far as the different options for signalization at the intersection, because yeah, our law enforcement could sit there all day long and just write tickets. I mean, we did a lot of educating first 3 weeks, but people continuously make that turn. And I think that's where Old Park Place would open up that opportunity to have more of a fluid approach back down to Plaza. So as far as the overall, people are starting to understand, and I think they're just thrilled that there's no delays in that area anymore. every time a caution sign, a construction sign goes up, they start freaking out a little bit because, oh, now what are you doing? He's like, we're not doing anything. They're just striping and everything. So, and we are doing some provisions. I've talked with Director Head a couple of times. I have my staff going out and actually painting red curbs to help with you guys on the parks where it's like Aikens is pretty narrow there. And if you have people parked on both sides of the street, you can't get through. I mean, it's kind of become an issue there. So we're trying to collaborate our support with you guys with that, and giving him an informational map is what we're doing. But we're looking at some striping as well as parking, parallel parking and stuff. And of course, we have a project that's coming through our urban renewal that's looking to enhance some of the angled parking. So as far as the overall flow, I think the public is just happy that the project is complete and over with. And I haven't heard anything back from the businesses yet, as far as good or bad in terms of what's going on. I think they're just excelling right now and trying to get back to the norm. But I appreciate, I think as a project goes, for these 2 years, the collaboration and the information giving from the city and the ACHD was, and all their contractors, subcontractors, we had those Thursday meetings every week, and the information was always out there for the public. And there was never like, oh, we didn't think about this, or oops, we forgot to add this. And it's like, I thought we did a really good job collaborating that effort as far as the information getting out. So the public knew every week what was going on. So there was never any question as to what was happening. Now, did it favor what their needs were? That was obviously the downtown businesses. No, it did not favor their ability to provide a service that they want for the public. But now that it's over, I think we're seeing the exhale going on right now, and we really haven't had an opportunity they're just happy that it's done. And so I think we're going to wait. We'll have this year, we probably should have some more feedback as to fine tuning things a little bit. But for the most part, I thought that was a great project. It was 10 years plus on the books, and I think there was a lot of people thinking this will never get worked on. This will be never done. But then when you're actually doing it, that was the hard part for a lot of people. And we didn't understand it because as a city, I think we're just getting the onslaught of the negativity and stuff. And it's like actually trying to keep them positive and seeing the results. I think now we're seeing the fruits of our labor on that. And I appreciate the fact that we did that. That's a project I think we can both tip our hats to and show people that we can work together with agencies, and our tax dollars are all working in effect for each other. So I'm very pleased with the turn of the project itself. And you guys even allowed some of the intersections instead of the pavers. I suggested doing concrete with colorization, and it worked out fine. The contractors worked well with it. It actually had a quicker return because the overall ability not to have to replace pavers. Everybody knows if you live in a neighborhood of pavers, yeah, they're on the HOA usually, so the replacement. So I'm really happy with what happened. I think the council members would probably attest to that as well, because we don't get as many emails anymore. But I don't know what your emails are like, but I thought it was a great project. I really did. I mean, with the communication, we were well informed every week.
Mr. Mayor, yeah. You were asking about the businesses in that new Hemingway building and how that was coming in. Yeah, so we've got 3 businesses on the ground floor and 1 on the top that are in process. 2 of them that are actually open and 1 that's coming along. And so we're starting to see some interest in that area. We also have 1 that's beside the 2nd Avenue and the secondhand store that's being completed that will have some retail of that too. So we're going to have some good retail businesses and restaurants in the downtown that we think are going to benefit from the beautification of that area, and still keeping our Eagle feel with the quaint and what we have down there. So we appreciate that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The Heritage Park is finished, and that was a big deal. Farmers Market will be coming back into that area again. So we'll be looking for the farmers markets and the summertime activities that are going.
Great, appreciate that update. Thank you. Justin?
Thank you, Madam President. We aim to please here at ACHD. I was able to get the answers to those questions from earlier. The staff was working feverishly behind the scene trying to raise that. So the city of Eagle, from a revenue perspective, represents approximately 7 to 8% of ACHD's annual revenue. That's been pretty steady over the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. It fluctuates slightly on an annual basis, especially based on impact fees and development related revenue. The city represents 7.34% of ACHD's centerline miles of roadway. So the revenue and the centerline miles actually are relatively consistent from a percentage basis. And then if you look at overall population, you're about in that same spot. So there's a pretty tight correlation between the amount of roadway within the city of Eagle, the revenue ACHD receives, and the population that represents the city of Eagle. So hope that answers that question.
Oh, great. Thanks for a quick answer on it.
Councilmember Mayor.
Yeah, along that same budget area type of stuff, you are raising the fees for the ACHD this year. How's that gonna play into your budget? What do you think that's gonna do for bottom line?
Yeah, Madam President, Mr. Mayor, council, this year, you know, our fees, the new impact fees, which is what I believe you're referencing, Councilwoman Merrill. We believe there's gonna be a modest increase in our overall fee. I believe in our upcoming budget adjustments, we're gonna increase our impact fee revenue by approximately $3 million, which is relatively small. The fees don't go into effect until March. Also, we're monitoring how fees are coming in. Last year was the largest impact fee year in the history of the Ada County Highway District. You saw that number at $33 million. So we believe that we could be in that range this year, likely above it if things remain steady. But as you know, our impact fees are essentially exactly in response to the development within the community. And that fluctuates annually, and it can fluctuate quite a bit. So in the short term, I would say those fee increases are not going to have a huge impact on the budget. But I would say in the coming years and over the next 5 years, if the economy holds and we see a strong development pattern within Ada County, those fees will represent potentially a significant increase in ACHD's revenue that could be allocated towards those projects that are eligible for impact fees.
Mayor, did you have any other positive project discussion, any other items?
Just make sure you got it. Yeah, like I said, your staff did a great job of answering a lot of questions I had, so they pre-answered, which is always nice because you don't have to reiterate it. So I appreciate the fact that you're key prepared to the meeting and was able to answer questions on the spot. I mean, you know, we don't get turnaround time of 30 minutes on a question too often, right? So we're really happy about those kind of things. So I like the fact that you take a proactive approach to the solutions here, and that's comforting. And I'm going to hold other agencies the standard that you guys provide us. I'm going to hold them to your same standard as always, because I think all the taxpayers pay money into each agency, which is different. We have to explain that all the time to the citizens that we have in our city 11 taxing districts that we have to participate with. And they just think everything flows through City Hall. It's like, no, it doesn't. And you have a board, you have elected officials, just like we do, and you have a budget just like we do. And so making sure that we're all understanding that, if we get that information out to the public, a lot of our headaches go away. It's when they just don't accept the answer. It's like, I don't know what to do at that point, because we will collaborate with you. We will work hand in hand with different agencies, but we do not run those agencies, and we are not responsible to those agencies outside of being a good partner and a good steward with them. So that's the part that the more we can communicate with the public, I think, you know, the better we're going to be. And I know we're all striving for that same thing. Your presentation was really, it's one of those things that, yeah, I was going, there's some stuff right there I want to use on my State of the City address, right? I mean, it's just well done. And I know Laura, our PIO, was taking copious notes on that probably during, I got ideas because she's so creative with her ways of doing things as well. But I know we could always look to things, and Shandy, I always appreciate the fact that you give us our information very well, and there was nothing that doesn't come. I'm not asking questions often, I'll go to Ryan and talk to him a couple times about different things, but for the most part, you guys have already come out and you've presented yourself well, so that's the part I'm encouraged to maintain our partnerships, and I don't want to ever look beyond a plank looking back and there's nobody there. That's not a good place to be. We need to be all there striving to show our strong support with each other. That's at least my intention, is to maintain that and make sure that ACHD is well represented through the city of Eagle as well.
Thanks, Mayor. Really appreciate that. Appreciate the partnership and being able to work so well together on these projects that are happening and recently happened in your city. Agree that the communication piece is really important, and I know that our teams work really well together and work hard on getting that information out. So yeah, just appreciate the partnership and continued work, and appreciate you all being here. And the joint meeting, it's been a long time since the city and ACHD have had a joint meeting together, so glad to do it. And I think that's all for us today, unless there's any other questions or comments from the commission or council. All right, seeing none, do you need a motion to adjourn on your side?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll make a motion that we adjourn the ACHD City of Eagle joint meeting. I can get a second on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
And we're adjourned. Thanks, all.